Hello, we'd like to welcome everybody for being in attendance here. We also like to welcome everybody that's watching on Channel 17 and everybody that's watching on lajoyasd.com. So we appreciate you all spending your time here. And with that being said, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Next item.
Before you call the meeting to order, Mr. Garza, I'd like to make some clarifications. It has been rumored that this is an emergency board meeting. There is nothing on this agenda that constitutes an emergency board meeting. An emergency board meeting needs to have something like a natural disaster to qualify for that. So I'd like to clarify for the audience and the community that this is not an emergency board meeting. Number two, there's also been rumored in social media that there's an item on this agenda that the superintendent is to get a raise. The Texas Open Meetings Act requires all meetings to be posted and all items that are going to be discussed to be posted. There is no such item on this agenda for the superintendent to get a raise. I'd also like to go on record that in my last evaluation, I recommended to the board that I rejected or voluntarily rejected my race. I'd like the audience to be clear on that. And I'd also like, I'm glad that the Texas Open Meetings Act requires us to list everything that's going to be discussed. And that's the reason it does it. So there was never going to be any discussion today about a raise for the superintendent because there is no such item. Thank you, Mr. Garza.
Moving on to our second item on our agenda is roll call and declaration of quorum.
Alex Cantu, present.
John Anise here. Oscar Salinas present.
JJ Peña, present.
And Armin Garza present. I do declare a quorum. We can move on to Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody could please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now moving on to our fourth item, approval of minutes. Can I entertain a motion?
Also move.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Salinas, a second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item number 5, our superintendent's report.
On the superintendent's report on page 10, our enrollment, we have 13,414 elementary students and 14,617 secondary students for a total of 538 less students than we had last year at this time. Any questions on the enrollment report?
Any questions?
No.
Moving on to our next item, discussion item number 1, discussion on La Joya ISD graduation and rank timeline.
For this discussion, Ms. Melinda Flores, who's our Executive Director for High Schools, and Mr. Antonio Cano are going to participate in this discussion. There was a question last time on our procedures, and we'd like our community to be completely clear on what the procedures are for working rank for our high school students. Ms. Flores.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides, Mr. Garza, President of the Board, members of our board, and members of our audience and community. The discussion item on the rank is before you. You have the ranking timeline for the 2018-2019 school year. This is the rank timeline that we present to our principals and campus leaders at the beginning of every school year. As a matter of fact, this document and the structure of this document has been in existence for 9 years. And previous to that, we've always had a system and a structure for verification to ensure that the quality of the data is accurate for all of our students. This also allows us to have a system where we ensure our data quality. I'd like to reference the document, and if you look at the first row and the beginning of the timeline starts for our senior students, and the purpose for this is because our senior students are needing information as they're applying to go to various universities, colleges, and for different organizational matters, such as scholarships as well. Within this time frame, at the end of September, the verification process begins to ensure that all grades are in the system. We want to ensure that everything is reflected and is calculated based on the ending of the year records for the 17-18 school year. This includes any summer courses taken. So the process, if I could draw your attention to the sentence at the bottom of that second box, computer services will start calculating the rank on October the 5th. The ranking is always completed through the Office of Secondary Education in conjunction with our computer services department. Our principals have no access to Skyward in order to have any access for running a rank or modifications made to any type of rank. The next critical item on the document is the third box at the bottom, where we now, at the end of the semester, run a rank for all students 9th through 12th grade. At this time, we include any grades awarded from August to December, and again, that second sentence, our computer services begins the calculating process on rank. On the next page, the final rank. This is the critical time, and up until this period, there are systems where the counselors are verifying our student academic records as is required of them. We also ensure that any grade reporting documents are verified at this time as well, so that there's always quality and a system of checking for the quality of all of our records. So within the month of March, in accordance to following our rank policy, which states that we rank up until the 5th 6 weeks for comprehensive high schools, and for the 9th reporting period, any grades that are in the system for the accelerated block comprehensive schools. In accordance to that, this is the time frame that we utilize. Again, we ask that all documents, that all grades are in there. The role of the principal at this time is ensuring that all audit sheets have been verified, that all teachers have processed their reports. But again, this is an item, and this particular task is the task of the Secondary Education Office in conjunction with our Computer Services Department. The role of the principal is they receive that report and then they disseminate it with the students. So this is the particular timeline that we have for this school year, and again, this is a timeline, and the document has existed for the past 9 years. And prior to this, there were other structures in place, but in writing and in this fashion, it dates back to that. Are there any questions from any members of our board or Dr. Benavides?
I can firsthand attest to the fact that the secondary instruction and CNI do a good job of disseminating this information, informing the parents. My daughter's a freshman in one of our academies here, and in the summer orientation where they invite all parents to attend, they do a good job of disseminating the information as to, this is how their rank is going to be, this is what classes, what they count for, the weight of each class, and the timeline of the class. So, I just want to say thank you to our secondary instruction and our CNI, because you all do a good job of disseminating that information.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to reiterate, and Mr. Garza said it well because he has a daughter that's a freshman, but I did want to reiterate that the high school principals do not have any part in calculating the ranking.
And I'd just like to add one item. With the software system that we utilize, which is our Skyward system, it's got security systems embedded that at any time, if anybody were to try to manipulate any data, it allows the name, the date, and the time that anybody has gone in to make any modification. In this case, again, none of our principals have access to grading or rank. It is, again, in the sole control of our Computer Services Department.
We appreciate you informing us of that. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next item, item number 7 will be consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Salinas, a second by Mr. Peña. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to contracts, tabulation A, item 8, student-teacher letter of agreement between La Jolla ISD and Western Governors University, a Utah nonprofit organization.
Also moved.
A motion by Mr. Salinas,
I'll second that.
A second by Mr. Alanis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to next tab under bids. Item number 9, discussion and possible action, if any, on contract terms pertaining to RGV Vocational Service, EKG, and Student Certified Program CSP 2018-14 renewal contract.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Salinas,
Second.
second by Mr. Peña. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item number 10, discussion and possible action, if any, on contract terms pertaining to RGV Vocational Services Medical Field Student Training Certification, CSP 2017-112 renewal contract.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Alanis, a second by Mr. Salinas. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item number 11, discussion and possible action, if any, on contract terms pertaining to Dual Language Training Institute for the implementation of dual language enrichment program for the elementary campuses contract renewal.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Salinas,
Second.
a second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to tab C under business and finance. Item number 3, acceptance of a donation of pink athletic shorts to the La Jolla High School girls volleyball team by Mr. Armin Garza, School Board President.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Item number 4, budget amendment 2019-02.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Alanis, a second by Mr. Salinas. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item number 5 under business and finance. Action in a proposed fiscal year 2015-2016 audit plan.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Salinas,
Second.
second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. Moving on to tabulation E under human resource. Item number 1, teacher stipend for perfect attendance.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Salinas, a second by Mr. Alanis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Moving on to item number 2. Public hearing for the approval of title change and salary adjustment for Carlos Vela Tech and AV Tech.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to deny items 2, 3, and 4 at this time.
I have a motion on the table to deny items 2, 3, and 4. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to executive session. It is approximately 12:12. We are in executive session.
I'd like for the record to recommend that my evaluation, even though it can be done at any time within 12 months, that it be postponed at this time. Thank you.
Okay, it is 12:43. We're out of executive session. Item H under personnel.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion, items 1, 2, 3, and 4 is discussed in. Not 4, I'm sorry. 1, 2, and 3 as discussed in executive session.
Second.
We have a motion for item 1, 2, and 3 under tab personnel H. I have a motion by Mr. Salinas, a second by Mr. Alanis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we're moving on to our next item, which is public comments. If anybody's registered for some public comments, you can please step to the podium now. Before you begin, ma'am, just want to go ahead and state forth the rules that we have in our public comments. For anybody that wants to participate in public comments, you have 3 minutes to go ahead and state your case or what you would like to speak about. At no time will there be any dialogue between the board and yourself, and I will be notifying you each time a minute passes by so you have an idea of how much more time you have. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. It is 12:44. I'll be starting my clock starting now.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary T. Hernandez, and I'm here to address you as a concerned citizen. Many people have voiced their concerns to me, and that is why I'm here. There are several items on this agenda that are questionable, but the biggest one, and let me clarify, an emergency meeting. Really, according to the Robert rules, they are called only the first one. something important comes up that must be dealt with before the next regular meeting. Or second, some particular business matters that is important enough that is needed to be exclusive reason for this entire meeting. Nothing, I repeat, nothing in this agenda merits calling a special meeting on a Friday at noon and during lunch. Plus, it raises suspicion that is being done before election day. Although you're postponing the following, your reference to the item number H4 under personal, I have some thoughts that I would like for you to consider. Earlier this year, the superintendent contract was extended and awarded a 5% raise, which makes everyone ask why another extension before the current one expires. This is wrong for many reasons. One, should an extension be considered toward the end of the employee contract? No, when it's almost a year away. As an employer, I know that this is the best interest of the organization to evaluate her and base extensions on her performance. A lot can happen in 9 months. An extension is considered a raise because it's committed future funds outside the budget process. At the end of the day, an extension means someone will leave with more money. This remembers the hours that the residents deal right before change took place, and this is wrong. Should this decision be made by the future board?
You have 1 minute.
The board that is serving at that time. Now about the printing shop, which is your item E3. Instead of investigating the rumor of the political sign being printed at the taxpayer cost, you're awarding employees a raise. What could these employees have done to deserve a special meeting that middle of the school year? In common practice, why not a special meeting for the teachers, the custodians, the bus drivers? Are they not important? Why not a special meeting to mold was discovered in several elementaries? Why not a special meeting to address the flooding of several schools? Why not a special meeting to address the lack of transportation due to shortage of buses? Why not a special meeting to solve the problem with no AC for days in Jimmy Carter? Why not there not be a special call when the incident at the Vasco with the 5-year-old? All these and
That's
many
3
more
minutes,
issues
ma'am.
are urgent
We
and
do
deserve
appreciate
your
you taking the
attention
time.
more so than those I mentioned above. Thank you so much.
We are now moving on to our next comment, next item. With that being said, do we have anybody that would like to say anything? On my behalf, I just want to go ahead and reiterate that La Joya ISD does the best job to take care of its students and its teachers and its staff. With that being said, again, we are the #1 paid school district, and I think the motives of every board member here is just for the best interest of their kids. So with that being said, we have an item for adjournment. Can I entertain a motion?
Excuse me, Mr. President, I'd like
Yes,
to
sir.
address the floor. I've served on the school board for going on 8 years. This being my actually official last meeting with action items, I'd like to thank the public, I'd like to thank the community for their acceptance of me in La Joya ISD. I'd also like to thank all the employees, all the taxpayers out there who have seen and followed me for the past 8 years. They have seen every single vote I've taken. They've seen why I've taken it and why I've done what I've done. The community has come out in large numbers, and I want to thank them for that. I also want to say that I've served on this board for 8 years, and every single board meeting or public meeting that I have attended and that has gone on while I'm here has been publicly aired on public TV. As time went on, we had the advancement of modern technology and the internet, and it's also being aired there. So again, I want to thank everybody. I want to invite everybody to keep on being an active member of this community. And I also want to invite them that if they cannot attend a school board meeting, it is online and it is on TV. Again, thank you very much.
Mr. Peña?
I'm just gonna go ahead and add, and thank all our employees and of course our students, and that, just like Mr. Peña said, everything that we do here, is for the services for our kids, first of all, and our community, and I think that, now we have some new board members. When I came on board in 2012, and everything that we've done is invest in those that invest in our kids and invest in our kids, and I think that we've proven it. We were number 12, but we brought them all the way to number 1 paying. Dr. Benavides has been a big part of that, and it was under her recommendation to do the evaluation, but for a district that faces poverty and faces all the needs that we have, anything being said out there in social media and stuff, it'll always exist. But at the end of the day, what happens here and what I've seen her do and what the cabinet has done and all our employees, from those that clean to those that drive to those that teach, has been, to me, very, very touching to the heart. But Dr. Benavides, I want to thank you, and I commend you on your own move that you did, and I know that you did it for the betterment of our kids and stuff, because of what negative things were being said on social media. But you are a homegrown, you're a graduate from here, you educated yourself, you come from good parents, and I'll say this again, you deserve everything that you've done, and I'm very proud that I'm actually serving with you here, and that you're our superintendent. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. I'd also like to say that not only have we taken care of our teachers, because I tell the principals that the number one people there are the teachers, because they're in the front lines, and what everyone forgets, whether you're a teacher or an instructional assistant or a bus driver, a custodian, everyone gets their salary plus a $5,100 insurance package. There's not that many districts that take care of their employees that way. And sometimes when people complain that they don't get the compensation that they think they deserve, I always tell them, don't forget that you get a $5,100 insurance package by being an employee at La Jolla ISD. I tell Mr. Vela, and I know he's not here right now, but I tell him I don't think that we do a good job of publicizing that because our employees are well taken care of. And it doesn't matter what level they're, what function they do for the district. So that's another point. That's another point that needs to be shouted out, because I've had teachers who tell me, who have left the district and are in neighboring districts, and tell me the first thing that I noticed was the insurance. So thank you to the trustees for taking care of us as employees by taking care of our health needs, because right now, health care is very expensive. Thank you.
And I would like to add that, you know, I'm originally from here, from Sullivan, came to La Jolla. I'm very proud of our district. And it's sometimes, you know, upsetting that, you know, people, you know, talk not the most positive way of our district, but if you're a true fan of our district and you take pride in your district, the best thing for us that we can do, as not only as a community and as a taxpayer and as a board member, but we need to lift up each other. And we need to lift up our district, because our kids are going through this district, and the only way we're gonna make it better is if we put our heads together and work together, because at the end of the day, it's for the betterment of our kids. And another thing that I'm gonna add is that, you know, we talk about transportation, we talk about custodians, we talk about cafeteria ladies. At first hand, we take care of our employees, because you know what? My dad is a custodian and my mom is a cafeteria lady. And for people to say that we don't take great pride in our district, for me, that bothers me. And with that being said, we don't shortchange our kids. If you look at our items, if you look at our agenda here, anything with instruction and student services, nothing has ever been denied, because we give our students the best and everything they deserve. With that being said, I am La Jolla proud, and I wish everybody would say the same. Thank you.
Can I entertain a motion to adjourn? I
Also move. Second.
have a motion by Mr. Cantu, a second by Mr. Alanis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.